there, busy birders. You ever been to a pond or a lake, seen a group of ducks and wondered, what is that? Is that a mallard? Is that a goose? You're not alone. Identifying ducks is hard because they all look so different, and even males and females look differently. You're not alone. When I was first birding, I wanted to give up so many times and just say, yep, it's a duck. To help you out, I'm going to teach you all the ducks of North America. I'm going to break it down so that it's easy to remember with simple tricks and mnemonics. This is the first of 2 videos that I'm going to put on YouTube. It originally was filmed for a course I taught, and the students loved the tips, and they paid a lot of money for it. But I'm going to give it away now for free here on YouTube. I'm going to break down all the dabbling ducks: mallards, black duck, wood duck, gadwal, Wigeon, teals, and shovelers. Then you're not going to want to miss part 2, where I'll teach you about all the diving ducks. Let's dive in.
All right, let's get into the ducks. Ducks, I love ducks. They're so brightly colored. As soon as you learn the little tricks on telling them apart, because they're everywhere, and a lot of people just say, oh, it's a duck, but you're like, oh, no, that's a pintail. Let me tell you all about it. Ducks are divided into 2 types of swimmers, I guess. The dabbling ducks, which is on the left, that's the mallard types. And they're the ones that you're going to see in ponds. They're in freshwater ponds. And you can see the mallard's leg there. They're in the middle of the duck. So it's called dabble because they put their head down and their bums go up in the air. And that's how they eat. They kind of reach their neck down and eat off the bottom of the pond. And they don't ever dive. I mean, occasionally they'll dive, but that's not normal. The legs are in the middle, they tip forward, and that's how they eat. So a lot of times when you're scanning, you might just see a bum in the air. Just wait. It'll put its head up, and then you'll be able to see it. They got the legs in the middle because they can walk on the land. And sometimes, or a lot of times, they'll nest and lay their eggs on land near the pond. So they need to be able to walk. During nesting season, mallards are so funny. You'll see them in parking lots. You'll see them behind a building. They're looking for a spot to lay their nests. Diving ducks don't do that. So a diving duck, they spend a lot of their time underwater. So you'll see them, and then you'll see their head go up, and then they dive. And then you got to wait 4 or 5 seconds for them to come up again. They can be so frustrating to identify, diving ducks. Because if there's 100 ducks, only 40 of them are actually up at the surface at any one time. The rest are all underwater. So you might think there's only 20 ducks there, but there's actually 60 because you just can't see them all because they're underwater. And they dive because it's in deeper water. They got to go down 4, 5, 6 feet to the bottom of the lake or the ocean to pick up sometimes a mollusk or a crayfish or grass that's growing way down deep. And so their legs are at the back of the duck so that they can propel themselves down and swim better and faster. The other thing about diving ducks is because their legs are so far back, it's hard for them to walk on land. So you're not going to see these types of ducks inland. And in fact, if they do land, they're going to have a hard time or impossible time getting up out of the water. So that's why you'll see these diving ducks, when they take off from water, they do like a whole running start, like an airplane taking off. So that's a good clue that these are a diving duck or a dabbling duck. All right, so let's go through the dabblers first. So everyone knows the mallard. The male's got, in the breeding season, the bright green head, the yellow bill, and the female is very plain looking brown. Look for those orange legs, and during the winter, the males start looking very similar to the females. They get less colorful, And the reason they do that is because in the non-breeding season, they want to blend in with the surroundings. They want to blend in. They don't want to get picked off by predators, so they lose a lot of their bright colors. They go through a molt there. Next is the American black duck. The male is, look at the bill between the male and the female. So it's hard to see between a female mallard and American black duck, but when you see them side by side, you're like, that's the black duck. They're all uniformly dark brown with the black cap and that black eye stripe. Now, I put the male and female side by side in the bottom picture, so you can see that the female has that dark olive bill, where the male has kind of a yellowy olive bill. Next is, I love the wood duck. Have you ever seen a wood duck? Holy moly. They're so cool because they nest in trees. Not often do you see a duck sitting in a tree, but if you do, it's probably a wood duck. They'll find a nest cavity. People also put like an owl box, but it's a wood duck box near a pond, and they'll go and have their babies in that box near the pond. So I remember them as it's a wood duck because they live in trees, which are made of wood. And the head on this male, it looks like the top or the head of a hammer, which you use to hammer wood. And then the female there, she's wearing safety glasses, like you would when you're a woodworker. Beautiful ducks. Love them. The Gadwal. It on the surface looks like just a plain gray and brown duck. Kind of boring. But when you get close, like these little stripes and details on the male just pop when you're looking at it through your binoculars. You're like, it's almost like one of those M.C. Escher pencil drawings. Now, the way you can tell a Gadwal is this oddly shaped, kind of square head. All right, so here's a female next to the male. They both have that strange, like, almost like it ran into a wall. And its forehead got smushed flat. So that's the way I remember it. So a Gadwal ran into a wall and its head got smushed flat. Now, behaviorally, Gadwals, they're kind of jerks. They're the pirates of the pond. They'll steal food from other ducks. So it'll watch as a duck dives down or dabbles down, and as soon as it goes upright, the Gadwal will just snap the fish or whatever it got out of the other duck's beak. They do this to American coots all the time, so it's fun to watch, but I feel sorry for the other ducks. The pirate of the pond, the Gadwal. All right. The Pintail. Gorgeous bird. Slender. It's got a tall neck, long, slender tail, and it's got that white stripe going up the neck of the male. See that white stripe there? So that stripe kind of matches the tail. So pintail. And when they dive or dabble down, their bum is straight up in the air with that tail going straight up. Now the females also have not as long pointy tail, but it's also as sharp. So I remember him as Pin the Tail on the donkey with that long tail. The American Wigeon. Now, what a gorgeous duck. It's the male on the left here. I kind of think of him as like a punk band from the 80s, right? It's got a white forehead stripe, or I call it a mohawk, with the green eyeshadow. I kind of imagine this guy playing a guitar in an 80s punk band, and that's his white mohawk and his green eye stripe. And the female has total black eye makeup. Looks like a black eye or a goth eye makeup in the 80s. Kind of a groupie for this guitar player. Their band is called the Wigeons. It's an 80s punk band. That's how I remember it, but what a gorgeous bird. The teals. There's 3 types of teals you'll run into in North America. They're all much smaller than mallards. So, like the green-winged teal is the smallest duck we've got. Now, at first you're like, oh, that looks just like the Wigeon we just saw, because it's also got the green head, but it's not as bright green. It's not that iridescent bright green with the white mohawk or the forehead stripe, but it's more muted, and he's got a rusty reddish brown face and cheek. But the biggest difference for a green-winged teal, look for this white stripe. Look for this vertical white stripe at the front, right below its head. This is how you tell it's different from a Wigeon. And then the blue-winged teal, here up in the upper, has that white stripe, but the white stripe is on its forehead, right here, between its eye and its bill, and it's crescent-shaped, like a moon. So when I think of blue moon, so the blue-winged teal has the crescent moon on its face. All right, and then the last teal out west, we've got the cinnamon teal. Now it's bright cinnamon. It's the only duck that's like this, and it's got a red eye, like a cinnamon red hot. Do you remember that candy growing up? The cinnamon red hot eye, the cinnamon teal. Beautiful ducks. And then we've got the shovelers, which is, if you've ever seen a shoveler, that bill will stick with you. It's enormous, and they use it as they're going, side to side in the water, filtering out. Enormous bill. So I think of it as the shovel your food into your mouth with that giant bill. So the male's is got that white sides with the the white body with the rufous sides, and the female is mottled brown, but the same giant bill, the northern shoveler. And that's it for the dabbling ducks.
Thanks for watching to the end. I'm sure these tips will help you when you're out birding and you see ducks and you're like confused. You'll be able to identify them all now. There is a part 2, so stay tuned for that. If you learned one thing in this video, hit the like button. If you want me to be your birding mentor and teach you all the things about birds, hit the subscribe button. And lastly, is there a duck I missed? Is there something you disagree with? Hit the comments below. I want to hear from you. Remember, birding isn't about the list, but it's finding joy in whatever you're doing. So grab your binoculars, maybe a friend, and head down to the local pond. Go find some dabbling ducks. Until next time, happy birding.